How we doing? Can we just start this camera review with a little blunt force honesty? The Canon T7i is a good camera, and we'll get into all those little deets here in a second. But also, let me just say, the Canon M50 is now $479 brand new. It shoots 1080 and 4K in 24 frames per second, 1080 in 60 frames per second, and 720 in 120 frames per second. The T7i, this camera right here, filming my face, is $700 right now and has no 4K options, shoots 1080 up to 60 frames per second. That's the max frame rate you get with this camera. The upcoming successor to this camera, the Canon T8i, is coming out soon. It will shoot 4K 24 and 1080 60, and that will be $750 on release. I'm just an innocent little camera boy trying to protect you guys, keep you safe from corporate greed and scams. I just wanted to give you the honest info, because I care about you. Now let's just move on to the ding-dang Canon T7i. We're gonna attack this camera review from an angle you've never even seen. It's gonna surprise you, it's gonna blow your mind. Film roll, please. That was a bad joke. A pros and cons list. Didn't see that one coming, did you? So each time in this video that I give you some hope and some excitement about this camera, the T7i, I'm gonna bring it right back down and keep it balanced. Pro number one is the battery life. I was very surprised by the battery life on this camera because it comes with smaller baby Canon batteries instead of the normal big ones. I can't remember what any of them are called, so here's the T7i ones, here's the normal ones. Informative. Con number one, I would have to say, is the mode dial on the camera has no locking mechanism. So there's a lot of times when I would go to shoot a photo or take some video clips and the mode would be all screwed around and I had to like fiddle with it and switch it back to manual. That might sound petty, but if you're trying to get the shot, if you're trying to do something really quick, it's nice to have a little locking dial, and that's become pretty standard, and I wish this camera had that. Pro number two, this little camera here has dual pixel autofocus, which is pretty standard now in Canon cameras, and we've all grown to love it. But it's just cool to see it in an entry-level camera, even though this camera is actually kind of expensive for what you get. The M50 is significantly cheaper and basically does the same thing and more, but don't worry about that. We'll talk about that at the end. But the flip side to the dual pixel autofocus is the tracking on it is kind of goofy to use. So I would expect when you turn on the tracking mode of the autofocus that whatever is in frame, the camera just decides the subject and kind of tracks it. That's what Canon's known for, just smart autofocus. But with the T7i, you pretty much have to use the touchscreen or the click buttons to select your subject, and then it will track. Once you select your subject, it actually does a good job. I don't know, it's 2020, we shouldn't have to do any work anymore. It should just scan and track for us. I did track and I was really good.
Nice job, Dad. Good job.
This next pro was actually surprising to me, and that's the digital and enhanced image stabilization. I've been a big fan of IBIS the past few years, coming from the GH5, which had amazing in-body image stabilization. I've kind of always doubted digital image stabilization. Biggest reason being that it punches in on your sensor, it crops in a little bit, so you lose a little bit of width that your image typically has. But if you really need to shoot something handheld in a pinch and you don't have a stabilized lens, honestly, the digital IS on this camera is pretty dang impressive. I did some side-by-sides where I just did straight up handheld, then digital IS, which just crops in a little bit, gives you a little bit of smoothness. It almost looks like IBIS, but you're losing that width of the lens. And then also you have the enhanced mode, which basically just puts a telescope on the front of your lens, zooms super far in, and it just feels like an ocean wave when you're panning your camera. It's just, you're on the beach, you're hearing the seagulls, maybe one's crapping on your shoulder or something because you're just frustrated by the image. I don't see any reason to use the enhanced because it's just wonky, but we gotta crash this party. We can't be letting things be too positive in this video, okay? This is a balanced, emotional video. So I just gotta say it, the EVF in this camera, it's really dim. Wait, it's not an EVF, that's electronic. VF? Viewfinder. I don't know what Canon did, maybe I'm an idiot, but I couldn't find a setting anywhere to change the brightness. There's this really annoying setting where when you click the menu button, it brings up this screen. This screen pops up when you hit menu. Instead of just going straight to the settings, it gives you like this middleman menu where you have to like confirm that it's a menu. I guess I can understand that a little bit if you're a complete beginner, but still, people are smart and can figure out a menu setting. This is our 6th and final round of pros and cons. The actual physical body on the Canon T7i feels really nice in the hand, particularly the grip on the right hand. It's nice and deep, so you can just like pull that camera to your side, let it dangle all day if you want. Just all day dangle is really what I like to go for, and that's possible with this kind of a camera. And some of you out there might be a really big fan of the DSLR style, which this camera is. It has the physical mirror inside, so the body does have to be a little bigger, and in turn, it feels pretty good. We gotta end this list on a con. I'm sorry to do it, but I'm not sorry. The dynamic range, similar to the 90D that I reviewed, it's just not great. It's also probably not meant to be great. It's an entry-level camera. There is a way around that, and that's to download the CineStyle color profile from Technicolor's website. It's a free flat profile similar to log profiles. I've talked about it multiple times before. I didn't use that for this review because I figured a lot of people buying this camera probably won't want to color grade that much. If you want to do extensive or heavy color grading, this probably isn't the camera for you, and that's okay. Another way around this problem is to just reduce the saturation and contrast all the way on the standard profile, which is what I've been doing for this whole video, and you get a little bit better dynamic range, a little bit of wiggle room in post to teal and orange it up to your heart's desire. Here's where my video just completely falls apart because I don't know if I should recommend this camera or who I should recommend it to. It's kind of a tough question. If I were choosing right now to buy an affordable Canon camera for video and photo, I would honestly just pick the Canon M50. With the M50, the 4K is a little bit unusable because it's cropped and there's no dual pixel autofocus in 4K. But even if you're just shooting 1080, the M50 does literally everything the T7i and the upcoming T8i do. So it just seems like the M50 is kind of canceling the Rebel series unless you just really want a DSLR. That's how we do it here. We keep it completely fresh, completely open, honest, genuine. I just wouldn't buy the T7i or the T8i in light of the Canon M50, especially that it's only $479 right now. This video that you're watching right now on your device while you probably have potato chips strewn upon your chest is sponsored by Lens Rentals. And honestly, before you skip this ad, which I understand, ads are boring sometimes, genuinely, this ad could be good for you, so just like hear me out for 1 second. Lens Rentals has the largest gear library of camera and film equipment in the United States. Their customer service is seriously always amazing. I used Lens Rentals even before they became a sponsor of my channel. They're just great humans. So they send you your gear in a neatly packed bag. You even get a owner's manual. And you know what? To keep it safe, they send it to you also in this beautiful little road case. They always ship on time. Their customer service is really great. And they also send you a box with return information, return labels, so you don't have to go out of your way to ship it back. You just drop it off. It's really easy. If you do want to rent something, use code ZACH15 at checkout. That's all caps, ZACH15, and you'll get a discount on your rental. And that helps me, that supports my channel, helps you, obviously. You're paying less for that dope ass gear. And Lens Rentals, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for supporting my channel. All right, other Zach, back to you. Hi, I just gotta say, I think my biggest dream in the world is just making YouTube content. I love it so much, and I really appreciate the people who support me. The ones you're seeing on the screen right now, these beautiful names, are my patrons. I love them very much. I would like to shout out 2 of them. That's Hannah Markley and Christian Reddle. Click the little orange icon on the screen if you want to support me and my videos. It would mean seriously so much. Thank you to the people who already do. Love you, bye. Sorry.